Today's top stories. Filipinos are urged to uphold sovereignty and show love for country as the Philippines celebrates Araw ng Kagitingan. Over 100 senior high schools are set to participate in the pilot implementation of mandatory ROTC next school year. The DFA implements voluntary repatriation on all Filipinos in Tripoli as tension in the Libyan capital escalates. And the NPC and Hugpong ng Pagbabago called for an investigation on the death threats against Representative Arthur Yap.
Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The country celebrates today the 77th Araw ng Kagitingan in honor of the Filipino and Allied heroes of World War II. The government calls on all Filipinos to uphold sovereignty and show bravery and love for country. More on this from Miguel Hill.
Veterans of World War II flocked to the Mount Samat National Shrine in Pilar, Bataan for the commemoration of the 77th Araw ng Kagitingan with the theme Sakripisyo ng Veterano at Gunitain, gawing tanglaw ng kabataan tungo sa kaunlaran. Araw ng Kagitingan commemorates the gallantry of the Filipino and American troops who saw action in World War II. The date commemorates the fall of Bataan into the hands of Japanese invaders. Vice President Leni Robredo led the commemoration rites with Interior Secretary Eduardo Año, Japanese Ambassador Koji Haneda, and U.S. Deputy Chief of Mission John Law. Robredo called on Filipinos to remember the sacrifices of our heroes and draw inspiration from them in fighting corruption and other troubles in the country. In a separate message, President Rodrigo Duterte said he hopes that, like our veterans, all Filipinos would be inspired to remain steadfast in upholding sovereignty and protecting the rights and freedoms enjoyed by the people. For PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde, the gallantry of Filipino heroes in World War II lives on through those who wage a crusade against crime, drugs, terrorism, and corruption. Araw ng Kagitingan coincides with the Philippine Veterans Week, which is celebrated from April 5 to 11. Philippine Veterans Week is commemorated with simultaneous flag raising and wreath-laying ceremonies in PNP camps and war memorial shrines nationwide. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
Malacanang says President Rodrigo Duterte may ask Congress to amend the Motorcycle Crime Prevention Act if its implementing rules and regulations fail to address motorcycle rider safety concerns. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo floated this possibility after the president said he would ask the Land Transportation Office to suspend the new law. The new law requires two bigger plates at the back and in front to be placed on motorcycles. However, Duterte said it is dangerous as it could pierce through motorcycle riders' helmets. According to Panelo, Congress can also be asked to reduce the penalty for violations after the president complained that these fines were too high. Duterte earlier said he wanted the 50,000 peso fine for violators lowered to between 10,000 and 15,000 pesos. A survey shows that most Filipinos doubt China's good intentions for Filipinos. However, Malacanang says the survey is mere political propaganda. The recent social weather station survey shows that 44% of Filipinos disagree that most of what China wants to happen in the Philippines is good for Filipinos. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo says critics were using the anti-China card to oppose the policies of the Duterte administration. He cited two unsuccessful attempts, namely the China debt trap scare tactics and the International Criminal Court case filed by two former palace officials against Chinese President Xi Jinping. Panelo believes the Filipinos would have a change of heart once ties between the Philippines and China start to show positive economic results. He says Filipinos should also be better informed about the need to expand relations outside the country's traditional allies such as the United States and Japan. The Philippine government has declared Tripoli and nearby areas under Alert Level 3 or voluntary repatriation phase amid tension in the Libyan capital. Filipinos in Tripoli and nearby areas within the 100-kilometer radius of the capital are advised to consider repatriation to avoid getting caught in the clash. Filipino workers will not be allowed to travel to Libya until the situation stabilizes and the alert level is lowered to 2. In a recent update, Charge d'Affaires El Mercado reports that the Mitiga International Airport was hit by airstrikes and that they are checking on the situation of Filipinos in the area. Cato assures that the Philippine Embassy will remain in Tripoli to assist Filipinos. Most embassies moved to Tunis, the capital of Libya's northwestern neighbor, Tunisia. The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, leads the first-ever Disaster Response Summit, and Meralco announces an increase in power rates this April. More on these and other news around the metro from Janice Cabe.
The DSWD opened today the first Disaster Response Monitoring and Information Center, or DROMIC Summit. The DROMIC Summit 2019 aims to strengthen the disaster information management system of the DSWD. Meanwhile, Meralco is increasing its power rates this April. Power rates will go up by 6 centavos per kilowatt hour or 12 pesos and 60 centavos for 200 kilowatt hours. The slight increase is attributed to tighter supply conditions in the Luzon grid, which was placed under yellow alert last week. In other news, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DENR, has opened the 2019 National Search for Eco-Friendly Schools. The contest encourages schools and academic institutions to actively handle community issues such as climate change. Winners will receive cash prizes, plaques, and special awards, which will be announced in November in time for the celebration of the National Environmental Awareness Month. Interested applicants may call or email the DENR for more information. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cabe.
Still to come, over 100 senior high schools are set to participate in the pilot implementation of mandatory ROTC next school year. Authorities from the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao arrest a suspect in the Mama Sapano incident. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
The Environment, Tourism and Interior Departments recommended to close Boracay for 6 months.
To address issues such as illegal structures and faulty drainage systems that is affecting Boracay's prized beach.
The last time na nandito is 2017. It's actually crowded. Sobrang dami ng tao. Everywhere, makikita mo talaga bars and drinks and masamakalat talaga.
We had more cases of skin disease. We had more cases of diarrhea.
So nagkasama-sama lahat ng mga agencies, tiningnan ano ba ang plano natin sa Boracay, compliance on Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, at saka yung ating environmental compliance.
When they started demolishing, we saw that there was action, that they put their money where their mouth is.
Lahat ng nagamit na tubig ng customer, we collect it through our sewer lines, and then it goes through a treatment process sa treatment plant.
It was nice that it happened. Finally, Boracay got the attention it is in deep need of.
I think a lot of work was done during the closure. The water is clear, the oceans are clean, there seems to be a lot of wildlife returning. We had, for the first time in 10 years, we had turtles hatching on the beach a couple of days ago.
During the closure, you could see like the eagles came back and everything that we have had for a long time.
Pumasyal pa nga yung mga kondito udanding, galing na Cebu.
In the end, it's a good thing, yes. It was hard for us, but it was also a wake-up call.
The beach was cleaned up and is officially set to reopen on October 26th.
Wala lang na kumakain sa beach, bawal nang manigarilyo.
Gumanda yung isla namin as in bumalik sa dati na ambience.
We teach kids about pollution, solid waste management, because they're the ones who will sustain all the things that we're doing now.
The government is set to implement a 2-year pilot program for the proposed mandatory reserved officers training corps this coming school year. About 100 public senior high schools nationwide are expected to undergo the pilot program called the Advanced Citizen Training Program. Brigadier General Rolando Rodil of the AFP Reserve Command says a joint curriculum for the program in grades 11 to 12 have already been formulated. Some measures and guidelines will be implemented to address hazing, abuse, and corruption in the conduct of the program. Reservists will be tapped to serve as ROTC instructors, with the DepEd providing counterparts through the creation of plantilla positions. The ROTC curriculum will be heavy on values formation and character building. Swedish companies have taken an interest in various infrastructure endeavors and other industries that are picking up momentum in the Philippines. Business Sweden country manager Ulf Wenblom says infrastructure spending is increasing on the back of the administration's Build, Build, Build program. He says Swedish firms are keen on participating in urban transport, building roads and bridges to support regional capitals. Ambassador Harold Fries is optimistic that more Swedish companies will do business in the Philippines. He says there are 20 large Swedish multinational companies and 30 to 40 small and medium enterprises in the country. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III has directed the Bureau of Internal Revenue to work closely with the Department of Trade and Industry in curbing a new scheme perpetrated by illicit tobacco traders involving their suspected use of recycled tax stamps on fake cigarettes. Some enterprising entities have come up with a promotional scheme in which tax stamps on sold cigarette packs could be exchanged for grocery items. Illicit tobacco traders are suspected of using this promotional scheme to gather used tax stamps to put on packs of fake cigarettes. The BIR will be meeting with cigarette companies as well as those handling the Internal Revenue Stamps integrated system to find out how to address this new modus operandi in the illicit tobacco trade. The Criminal Investigation and Detection Group is lauded with the arrest of one of the suspects in the controversial Mama Sapano encounter in 2015. Members of CIDG BARMM arrested Tamano Esmael Sabba at the parking lot of Cotabato Regional and Medical Center. Sabba was the subject of Oplang Pagtugis. It is a police operational plan for capturing national-level most wanted persons. He is wanted for direct assault with murder for his alleged involvement in the Mama Sapano Maguindanao encounter that killed 44 Special Action Force personnel, 17 Moro rebels, and 5 civilians. This particular incident almost led to the collapse of the government's peace overture with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front in Mindanao. 3 high school students are awarded scholarships in Baguio City. Meanwhile, a soldier was hurt in a clash with terror groups in Maguindanao. More on these and other stories from the provinces from Joyce Cudis.
In Baguio City, 3 incoming senior high students were granted scholarships by the Baguio Pines City Lions Club in recognition of their academic achievements and good leadership qualities. Colleen Evangelista, Micaela Jane Rojo, and Angela Tibay are the 3 students who topped the search for outstanding class or club officers. The Lions Club says more students would be added to the list of scholars every year. In Cebu, the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources in Central Visayas says there is no outbreak of crown-of-thorns starfish in the coral reefs of Cebu. It says the presence of many starfish is normal during summertime. The local government units are also conducting a cleanup drive to prevent damage by these starfish. It says the PDDRMO may just be anticipating the situation as the El Nino also affected marine life. In Maguindanao, a soldier was hurt as intermittent clashes with the Bangsamoro Islamic freedom fighters continued over the weekend. The military has been running after the group of Abu Turaife, said to be the most radical among BIFF factions operating in Maguindanao. According to Major General Cirilito Sobejana, commander of the 6th Infantry Division, surgical operations against the BIFF will continue to prevent the group from perpetrating bomb attacks in central Mindanao. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Joyce Goodies.
Up next, the NPC and Hugpong ng Pagbabago call for an investigation on the death threats against Congressman Arthur Yap. Arnel the Silencer Bacunaje takes the vacant WBC Asian Boxing Council Silver Featherweight title. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Welcome to Caraga region, where a fusion of rustic scenery and modern technology brings you to seemingly new dimension of heaven on earth. Where winding roads and strong bridges are engineering masterpieces that transport travelers and adventurers from a glorious past to a universal future. Where bountiful waters offer food and recreations. Where colossal highlands are welcoming homes. Where people are one with nature, children to the earth. Brothers and sisters to all. This is the vision. This is the mission. This is the commitment made possible and a promise fulfilled by the government for its people in Caraga.
The Nationalist People's Coalition and the Hugpong ng Pagbabago Bohol expressed grave concern about the reported death threats against Representative Arthur Yap of Pundok, Bol-Anon. Former Cabinet Secretary Leoncio Evasco, who similarly received threats against his life, urged for a wider investigation of the threats. Yap revealed the assassination plot after Evasco's family formally wrote a request to the National Bureau of Investigation. Evasco emphasized the need for immediate action as he cited that Bohol ranks high among the provinces where illegal drugs is rampant. He says he is willing to join Yap in making a request for the comprehensive investigation. Evasco is running in the gubernatorial race in Bohol under the NPC-HNP, while his rival Yap is running under PDP Laban. In our foreign news, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that Secretary of Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen left her post. In a Twitter post, Trump announced Nielsen's resignation and thanked her for her service. Trump named current U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Kevin McClellan as acting Secretary of the Homeland Security. Nielsen officially announced her resignation late Sunday in her Twitter account. She also announced that she would stay in office until Wednesday, April 10, to assist with the transition of her duties within the department. Trump has reportedly wanted Nielsen gone for months due to differences in views on immigration, including issues of the construction of the wall at the U.S. border with Mexico and the deportation of illegal immigrants. In sports, Arnel the Silencer Baconaje of Manila defeated Tom June Wardog Mangubat of Cebu to win the vacant WBC Asian Boxing Council silver featherweight title. Baconaje knocked out Mangubat in the 8th round to score his 11th win and 9th knockout victory. Mangubat suffered his first loss against 10 wins and 1 draw. Baconaje previously won the Philippine Boxing Federation Super Bantamweight title by beating Brian Lobetania by unanimous decision in 2017. Meanwhile, Ponciano Remandiman of Cebu won by majority over Renz Rocha of Manila to get the vacant Visayas Professional Boxing Association Super Flyweight title. Remandiman scored his 10th win against 4 losses and a draw, while Rocha dropped to 14 wins, 8 losses, and 1 draw. The internet is becoming a dangerous place with the spread of disinformation and cybercrime. In Iligan City, the government led a campaign to educate students on cybersecurity and being safe online. Christine Lynn Viajante from the Philippine Information Agency has this report.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology Mindanao Cluster 2, in partnership with the City Government of Iligan, MSU IIT, CHED, and DepEd, conducted a cybersecurity awareness and information campaign at the MSU IIT Gymnasium, Iligan City. The campaign aims to educate and develop awareness of students, particularly the youth, on cybersecurity and on how to protect individuals that are constantly exposed in cyberspace or online.
Since 2017, we go around the country po na nag-aano po kami, nagpe-present po kami sa mga universities dahil nga sila yung mga bata. Pero we have also local partners sa mga local government units. Inaano din namin itong cybersecurity awareness. And also the digital parenting, the anti-cyberbullying, and the protection of children online.
DICT speakers tackle about protecting yourself in cyberspace, engineered for addiction in ICT, government initiatives, and view from the front line of cybersecurity, which capture the interest of the attendees.
Aware po kami sa mga nangyayari, pero dahil po sa binigay o binahagi ng DICT, mas lalo po akong naliwanagan sa maaaring mangyari sa akin as a student, as a sister, or as anak po. So nagpapasalamat po ako at sana mag-conduct pa po sila sa ibang lugar kasi malaking tulong po ito.
Participants are coming from different high schools, colleges, and universities in Iligan City and Lanao del Norte. This cybersecurity awareness and information campaign is a first for DICT Iligan and surely would not be the last. For PNA Newsroom, Christine Lynn Viajante, Philippine Information Agency.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's biggest stories.
Filipinos are urged to uphold sovereignty and show love for country as the Philippines celebrates Araw ng Kagitingan. Over 100 senior high schools are set to participate in the pilot implementation of mandatory ROTC next school year. The DFA implements voluntary repatriation on all Filipinos in Tripoli as tension in the Libyan capital escalates. And the NPC and Hugpong ng Pagbabago called for investigation on the death threats against Representative Arthur Yap.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And since today is National Heroes Day, let us remember the heroes who fought for us in World War II and in the present. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.